My name is Carl Wurtzum, and it is my great honor to introduce to you today a listening program unlike any you've ever heard before. Or perhaps it's exactly like ones you've heard before. I don't know what's out there, and I don't know what you've heard. At any rate, it should be new to some of you. It's called Burk Hurkly, P.I., The Shrinking Dick, and it stars Skylar Page as Burk Hurkly, a low-rent and even lower IQ detective with a heart of gold-colored plastic cellophane. In today's origin episode, you'll find out why they call him the Shrinking Dick. The program should run around 20 minutes and cost you precisely $0.00. The first one is always free. That's what they tell you in drug dealing school. So sit back, relax, and try your best to enjoy Burk Hurkly, P.I., The Shrinking Dick.
I was lying on the beach in Cancun sipping a margarita Mai Tai combo when I got a call from the commissioner. Hello, Commissioner? Okay, I lied. I was listening to beach sounds on my headphones and sipping a fish juice V8 out of the vending machine downstairs. But I still got a call from the commissioner. Stop calling me commissioner. I'm your dad. I'm calling because your genetically enhanced dog decided to hold up a liquor store last night and I need you to come bail him out of jail. I'll be right there, commissioner. Dad. Okay, so I wasn't working a case, but I was getting the feeling like a case was going to present itself at any moment. That's why I switched from my morning coffee to my afternoon vodka 2 hours early, on the drive out to the farm, in broad view of the police. Woo! Can I help you, officer? I believe Mr. Lincoln can vouch for me. License registration, please, and I must inform you that I can smell alcohol in your breath and will require you to do both a breathalyzer test and a field test. I was onto his game. It was the old, do my job to the best of my ability without letting the power go to my head sort of thing. Makes me sick. So your breathalyzer results show that you are way over the legal limit. But as it is late and there are not many cars on the road, I will give you the chance to drive home if you pass the field test. Please step out of the car. That's very kind of you, officer. Field test, schmield test. I had been microdosing Jim Beam all morning and I aced the field test, but waited for him to arrest me anyway like the slimy hypocrite he was. You pass. Have a good night. Wait, you're gonna let me drive home? Yes, don't let it happen again. Drive safe. He probably didn't want to fill out all that paperwork, the bastard. I arrived at the farm in the middle of the night. Roosters crow in the middle of the night too, you know. Did you get him? Who? Your dog. He's not here. He's at the big house. I knew that. It was a test, old man. And you passed. If you're wondering about my dog and his genetic enhancement, you're lame and I hate you. Please buy my book, Genetic Enhancement and How They Relate to Other People's Dogs. Penguin declined my offer, so it's self-published. It's in a manuscript on my assistant's desk. It's on my phone under a mislabeled note document. At any rate, Uncle McMunsey is one of those mad scientist types. I gave him my dog when I moved out of my parents' house at 18. 22. 33. I gave my dog to my uncle to have him gracefully put down, but my uncle took advantage of the situation and turned him into a dentist. But nobody wants to get their teeth pulled by a dog, so he's resorted to a life of crime.
Next.
Yes, I'm here to pick bail.
Name.
Marcel Duchamp.
That'll be $48,563.
Just a second. I had the money. Of course I had the money. I had 10 times that much money. I just hadn't earned it yet, and never would. In life, it's often necessary to make your own way. Or in this case, your own hole in the jailhouse building. Come on, Sparky!
It's Marcel. Are you drunk again?
No time. Get in.
Move over. I'm driving.
I let the dog drive just because I wanted to see where he'd go. Okay, he went straight to a strip club. Marcel, we don't have time. We've got to get back home so I can continue being an absent father.
Stay in the car.
I watched my sentient canine walk to the back of this seedy joint, and just then I remembered that Squarespace has a promotional code that gets you 30% off your next website. Just go to squarespace.com and enter promotion code SHRINKINGDICK for your discount. When my dog returned, he was carrying a large bag over his shoulder. He hopped over into the passenger seat, which is where I was sitting.
Move over. I need you to drive.
Why me drive?
'Cause you can't. Just shut up and drive.
He made me drive all the way out to the Catskills, which is where my uncle lives. I knew this. That's why I broke the 2-hour silence with, "Are we going to see Uncle Mick?"
Shut up and drive.
I was right. I knew it from his tone. I love him. We got to Uncle Mick's house about 2 hours after sunrise. The morning dew was still hot. The morning dew is what I call my crotch sweat. My crotch sweat was still hot. After airing out, I knocked on the door. The door opened, but nobody was there. Classic spooky move. Me and the big dumb dog entered. I walked right up to the butler and asked for directions. "Excuse me, butler, do you know where we can skip all the spooky parts and get to the part where I save the day and also get paid?" Then the butler did the most rude thing imaginable. He ignored me. "That's not a butler, that's a statue of a chimpanzee holding toilet paper. Come on." We pressed on and soon we were surrounded by ghosts. Or should I say ghost? One very fat ghost. "Excuse me, ghost, do you know where Mick Muncie's room is? He's an old guy, about yay tall, glasses, hair." "You're in my belly. I eated you." Okay, sure. You know where the old guy stays?" "It tickles when you move."
Ignore him. It's this way.
We made our way down the labyrinth of halls. The burning question burned in my mind burningly. What was in my dog's bag?
I got the plutonium you asked for, Mick.
Maybe I'd never find out.
Ah, the plutonium. Come in.
Some mysteries are better left unsolved. That's my motto. We entered the most fantastic libratory. I say libratory on purpose because it was a library as well as a laboratory. But the part I really wanted to tell you about was the laboratory. Not that there's anything wrong with books. I once read a book, cover. Anyway, the lab was pretty cool, like you'd see in a movie. Green liquid flowing through swirly glass tubes, big copper balls with electricity coming off of them. But what I really, really wanted to tell you about was something I didn't know anything about at all, because it was under a big black sheet. "Uncle Mick, what's that?" After explaining what a big black sheet was in detail, he removed the big black sheet and started tinkering around with the machine underneath. Now, to the untrained eye, what was under the sheet might be described as a steampunk 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee. But to the trained eye, it was actually a year 2000 steampunk Jeep Grand Cherokee painted jade green with a little gold fairy hood ornament, which I thought was a little gay. Uncle Muncie opened the hood and put the plutonium in right next to the transmission fluid intake. Or was it the wiper fluid? I'm not certain. I didn't make it very far in trade school, probably because my transmission was full of wiper fluid.
Now for your end of the bargain, old man.
Are you sure, Mr. Duchamp?
More sure than I'll ever be about anything.
Okay, hold still. This might hurt.
I wasn't sure what to think about what happened next. I thought for sure the burden of sentience had gotten too much for him and that he wanted to be turned back into a regular dog, but...
There, the deed is done.
You wanted to get fixed? What? No, I'm not fixed. I'm a girl. I want you to change the way you speak to me forever and call me her. I wanted to explain to him that many dogs had this procedure done and none of them turned into girl dogs. But there wasn't time, and Uncle Mick was choking. Uncle Mick, are you all right?
Stick your finger down his throat. I think he swallowed a penny. He is Jewish after all.
Thank you. I thought I was a goner. I found a penny and, well, I am Jewish. But that reminds me, Burk. Should anything happen to me, and by anything I mean dying, if I die, I want you to have the green Tinkler. That's the name of the shrinking machine. I call it that because when it travels through time, it leaves a little green puddle behind. Oh yeah, and it's also a time machine. I lead with the shrinking aspect because it's a much more complicated technology. Oh yeah, it can also traverse the multiverse. Ooh, a penny!
Uncle Mick proceeded to choke on another penny, only this time he died. We buried him out back in a shallow grave, just in case we needed to dig him up in a later episode. Then we proceeded to fiddle around with the controls of the green Tinkler. What do you suppose this does?
Well, it says shrink, so I imagine it shrinks us.
But it didn't shrink us at all. Everything around us just started to grow. What a ripoff. Now it was just me and the talking dog sitting in a steampunk Jeep Grand Cherokee waiting for whatever was going to happen next. Thankfully, a tiny glowing screen turned on. Oh, how I love tiny glowing screens. It told me all about the adventures I would go on soon if I subscribed for the low price of $3 a month. It told me of the evil, crummy emperor and his tendency to kidnap beautiful maidens, which reminded me of this girl whose acquaintance I made in barber school, and how we were destined to be wed someday. Anyway, this trip to the Catskills turned out to be a great investment, much better than getting my private investigator's license, which I was cutting up as we spoke. But then a little green screen said,
You're going to need your private eye skills on your many adventures as the multiverse is filled with mystery. So keep your feet on the ground and your eye on the keyhole, for you never know what might happen next. Put these new powers to good use and don't do anything I wouldn't do.
The fancy glowing screen turned into a not-so-fancy old-timey radar with a rotating green line and a blooping red dot.
Whatever that is, it's getting closer.
Then it's best we be big. I hit the grow button, but just as before, we didn't grow at all, but everything around us started to shrink. The red dot stopped, and we got out of the car.
Oh no, Burk, it's over here. It's a little mouse.
Half squished under the front passenger tire was a little mouse. Poor mouse.
I'm not a mouse. I'm an alien. An alien is something from a different place.
I know what an alien is.
Oh, I was told Earthlings were stupid. Anyway, my people need your help. You and him need to go to my planet and...
Whoa. Did you just call me a him?
Not now, Marcel. I want to hear this.
On my planet.
He proceeded to weave a tale about how on his planet, a boy was a boy and a girl was a girl, which sounded refreshing, and about how he needed someone like me, someone of incredible lung capacity, to go to his planet and speak to the Senate about some new law that would make it legal to murder anyone who can't say the alphabet backwards or something. I wasn't really paying attention.
It's the universe right next to the one that looks like a swollen foot being hit with a hammer.
Gotcha. We're on the case.
Can we please listen to something that isn't royalty free?
Sure, as soon as you get a job, we can license some Van Halen. But in the meantime...
Are we there yet?
There's the foot. Hold tight. What was that?
Check engine light.
No time. We've got a Senate hearing to crash. There were mouse people everywhere, so we shrank down to their size and walked into the most official-looking building. Walked up to the microphone, pushed the old lady talking out of the way, and began to filibuster like no one's ever filibustered before. I told them about how I narrowly escaped an evil cop trying to nail me for doing nothing wrong at all. I told them about my manuscript for a romance novel starring me and the acquaintance from barber school. I told them all the multisyllabic words I know, like multisyllabic. I told them my stolen theory about how we are all unique iterations of a divine entity that longs to experience its own creation in limited form. Then I started running out of steam and just listed off all the Star Wars characters I knew. But we won't get into that. To be honest, it makes me nervous just mentioning Star Wars. Pretty soon, the mouse people started cheering and thanking me for my honorable service.
Get him out of here! Burn him at the stake! Burn him!
Or at least that's how I remember it. Plus, I got to say, I will not yield like 30 times, so job well done. But when we walked out of the thoroughly impressed courtroom, we noticed something odd. The normal functioning mouse society was now replaced by chaos in the streets with giant cats terrorizing the citizens. Immediately, I tried to distract the people from the fact that the giant cats seemed to be climbing out of the green puddle left by the green Tinkler. But mice people were on to us, so we booked it. That's better. Computer, take us to a universe where it's all Cancun all the time.
Taking you to Raccoon Universe. That's all for today, folks. We hope you've enjoyed this little taste of a story, and if you'd like to hear more like this, just send a check for $50,000 to Carl Wartsum, Apartment 69, 8142 Loose Butthole Avenue, Rancho Cucamonga 99529. And stay tuned to find out what happens next on Burk Hurkly P.I., The Shrinking Dick.